Welcome to Running It Back, the year that was 2020 edition. Mike Palmer here, joined as always by Tarlin Ray. Tarlin, are you ready to talk the year that was?
Absolutely. No better place, no better person to spend time recapping 2020 after what has been a very interesting year, but really thankful to have had some time with you in 2020.
Yeah.
20 episodes in 2020 for what was just a fart of an idea.
Hey now.
Sorry. Cut that out, Mary Lou.
Cut the fart.
Of an idea
yeah.
coming off of The Last Dance. It's been a lot of fun.
Yeah. And so what may have been 2020 vision is now 2020 hindsight, 2020 retrospective. We've put our retrospective glasses on and reflect on a year that was pretty crazy. So we'll take a look at it in our rear view mirror. But this all started in the midst of the COVID first wave in the US. There was a little show. It was on ESPN, must-see viewing, The Last Dance, Sunday nights each week. They would double up. You would have two episodes. Yeah. This was in the dark winter of no live sports. There was Two Live Crew back in the 90s. And then there was no live sports in 2020. And
Hulu has live sports.
Hulu had live sports commercials, but nobody had live sports for a few months there. We were losing our minds and we needed an outlet. And fortunate, as it were, that Michael Jordan and his crew had this documentary that they were able to get out at that time. And we were watching. It was appointment viewing every Sunday night. And then we would break it down afterwards as part of another podcast that we were working on. And yeah, man, from there we said this can't stop. Once we had gone through all 10 episodes of The Last Dance, we had to keep going. And then we're going to wind up with a tidy 20 in 2020. Nice and good number wise.
Nice and neat. Yeah, it sparked hey, we need a logo if we're going to do this.
Yeah.
Hey, we need some music.
Yeah.
If you haven't listened to the soundtrack from The Last Dance, go to Spotify. It is money.
Mm-hmm.
And if you look back at our shows, we are leaning because of The Last Dance. 15 of the shows are focused on basketball.
Yeah.
And I don't know if because it's our origin story. We had a couple of shows in football. We did lean into boxing with our Mike Tyson show.
Yeah.
And then don't forget the 5-tool, which I had a lot of fun.
Yeah. Mookie Betts inspired world champion Los Angeles Dodgers. Is that how it's pronounced? Dodgers.
Please. Yeah. Don't come to LA talking all that nonsense. But we are looking, when I think back, there were truly some shows that brought me back into the time capsule, especially the Magic Johnson show, HIV.
Mm-hmm.
I thought that the show on Kaepernick and Chris Jackson, Mahmoud Abdul
Rauf. Yeah.
Rauf.
Are there sirens by you, by the way?
That would be the gardener. If you, I tried to let the crew know of my neighbor that there's something going on, but they continue to blow right outside the window. So that's part of, the show.
It's all gold. It's all gold. Yeah.
So I do think we are also doing the show in the height of COVID.
In the height of the leaf blowing. It does happen to be leaf blowing season in the greater Los Angeles area. So
leaves just fall all year round, even though in the middle of winter.
Yeah.
But the height of COVID, but also the height of racial unrest. So it was really fascinating to follow Rauf and the stances that he was taking.
Yeah.
And then to juxtapose that against what Kaepernick was doing.
Yeah, exactly.
We even touch a little bit on Muhammad Ali during the Tyson period.
Yeah. So we tried to get enough coverage beyond basketball. So another potential tagline that we were floating was running it back. It's not just about basketball. We're still focus grouping that one. But,
so we're chopping that one.
Come back at us at Running It Back FM on Twitter. That's how you'll find us. But 20 episodes though. Who knew when this started it would turn into 20? I have in front of me, Tarlin, the list, the top 18 most downloaded shows. There's 2 shows that are in production, including this one. So we're not going to include those in the top 20, but I have a list of our top 18. And I was going to reveal this to you.
I've been waiting in prep. I'm asking you like, hey, save it for the show.
Suspense.
I always want to save it for the show.
Yeah. Now the listener can identify with you as I talk through the list here. So where do you want to start? The bottom of the barrel shows that need more love. You got Jordan's baseball years, right?
Oh, okay.
you're supportive.
That's not a surprise.
Then there's all running it back about the dream team with Tony Kukoc. Then Tyson, but Tyson just dropped. So Tyson is still, it's a baby. It's going to catch more downloads. Then you get into the Blackballed show, which might just be a bad title.
We need to pause on Blackballed for a minute.
Yeah.
Because in 2020, we had the opportunity to see the launch of a whole new streaming network.
We're cutting edge.
That we were the first to pan as the worst idea ever.
It's true.
But then we got for free, rushed to watch 10 episodes or 8 episodes of the show Blackballed.
Yeah.
We should have the Clippers in the title. Maybe that will help out.
It's in there, but it's after the colon. So yeah.
The colon always throws people off.
Yeah.
I don't know what the colon's supposed to mean.
Yeah. We'll change this on the fly. This is the wonder of live podcasting.
We're able to watch those shows painfully as we weren't able to binge it. And they released them every 3rd day or every 4th day.
Oh.
And then we were able to remove Quibi off our phone. And now Quibi's gone.
Quibi's gone. So we hardly knew you, but what we knew of you, we were maybe not so much. We were not big Quibi fans in terms of the user experience.
And do you know why it went down? Any name that's close to Quidsy, which Netflix was going to name its alternative brand. Did you know that?
I thought it was Quickster. What is it?
Quidsy.
All right.
That's what it was.
I'm
going to Mary Lou.
Did not know that. But yeah, so that's the bottom of the barrel. There's also still needs some room to percolate. We got the LeBron versus Michael NBA GOAT show. I still got some hope for that. We did the show where we touched on the Masters. It was a survey show. Didn't really have that was Clay's Achilles.
No, that's a different. Sorry, I'm listening to you, but not.
Yeah.
Because Mary Lou's in my ear.
Yeah.
Maybe Quickster.
It's Quickster.
You're right. Quidsy was actually a company they bought, which worked. Go on.
Okay. Yeah, thanks for making the editor. Mary Lou's a brilliant editor, so don't worry about any of this. It's all going in. It's all going to be beautiful. So where are we? But then, okay.
Drum roll.
Then you get to Clay's Achilles. Again, not the best title, very topical, but sad. And Klay Thompson, we're still pulling for you. It's still early in your rehab. But that one it was kind of a gut punch to hear that he was down again. And then you get into Michael's flu game. Last Dance origin story. So this is now, I think this is number 11.
All right.
So we're
getting
getting
know
there.
Where we came from.
Yeah. Then you go to the 2020 NBA Finals Scenario Edition.
Oh.
This is when we had a lot of NBA Finals programming. Then you got
You take the Heat, or you still took the Lakers?
I took the Lakers.
Yeah.
The NBA 2020 Bubble Wrap show, which I think at least as far as titles go, that one was all right. Then you get the World Series Dodgers and 5-Tool Player Edition episode. Then you get to Kaepernick, Mahmoud Abdul-Rauf.
What number is
We're at number 6.
All right.
Rauf's on fire.
He's always on fire.
Then it's the 1999 NBA playoffs, the Cinderella Knicks.
Look at your Knicks in the top 5.
Coming in at number 5. That was very timely, though, too, because we were talking about how the Knicks got hot in the strike-shortened year. The Lakers eventually got hot. Are they the Knicks of this year with their asterisk championship? No, because they won. They did win.
What's happening? I thought we talked offline about the asterisk.
I'm sorry. I'll edit it all.
It's all
going to go away. Number 4. Coach John Thompson, Georgetown Hoyers, gone too soon. So John Thompson.
That was we had Chadwick Boseman. We talked about him as well during that show.
That's right.
Both died and within a couple days each other.
Yeah, that was tough. As if 2020, there's a lot of that, sadly, to talk about as well. Number 3 on the list is the 2020 NBA Finals Tip-Off Edition.
Whoa. People are excited, getting ready.
I think tip-off, note to self, people like tip-off. And also right before the NBA Finals, it was good. Then number 2, you mentioned Magic Johnson announces he has HIV back in 1991. That was a classic, running it back. And then the number 1 show in terms of downloads, 2020 by a long shot, dwarfing the competition, 13% of our downloads, only 8% of our downloads in Magic Johnson. Allen Iverson, practice. I mean, at the end, it all makes sense. Things do tend to come together in a way that makes sense. I remember when we were talking about that particular show, I think that's what I did pitch to you, a mini series of people talking about Allen Iverson's practice. That in and of itself is a podcast. And I know Allen Iverson, I've seen him active on Twitter. We're trying to just get a read on what's going on out there, but the numbers don't lie, Tarlin. And I remember even when we were talking about Tyson, there's a lot of contemporary athletes to me, when I think about their sensitivity and how they emerged on and had a transcendent impact, a lot of it comes back to Allen Iverson. And then for whatever reason, it comes back to that press conference. The interesting thing is that press conference is frequently mischaracterized, and that's what we dove into as part of that, and so many lessons to be learned. What lessons can you learn from all this, Tarlin? It's lessons learned about sports. What lessons can you learn? What lessons have you learned?
Well, just a quick on the practice, because we also had a DeAndre Hopkins moment.
Correct.
Where some of the media was calling out his participation in practice. Mm-hmm. I think there are 42 practices. Let's just say 14 of those are excused. 6 of those he was injured.
Yeah.
And he's still one of the most dominant receivers. And so he had his own practice moment.
Yeah.
And that got you and I excited, texting each other.
Yeah.
Allen Iverson will always live. It says a couple things. One, this is an early stage podcast venture. We're thinking about ways that we want to connect with the audience and to truly run it back to sports heroes and then think about how it applies is relevant. That's our history. So we love the current. We love seeing what was going on in the bubble and trying to apply it. Like, think back to even the 1999 strike short and how that applies to the bubble. Mm-hmm. I think people relate to that because they're getting inundated with the now. And how do you start to draw parallels to the past, and then what can we learn? So this is a sports history.
Yeah.
And I think we should continue to lean in there. Mm-hmm. And it also helps to lean into bigger than life athletes that have really set the stage and left a mark for not only in their playing days, but people that have grown up really idolizing those stars. So
yeah, it's like
lesson for me as we are thinking about pivoting, persevering, or killing this podcast. We're going on.
Yeah.
But we're going to make sure that we're looking at the data to continue to figure out. We're going to give you, as Jalen Rose said, give them what they want.
That's right. And I think the future is looking intriguing, where what is the future of sports going to look like? How are we going to make sense of it as we go through the rest of 2021? It's still going to be a topsy-turvy year in many ways. And it is a place where I think a lot of the news of the day is going to be hard to make sense of. And that's the other connection to history that I think helps. It's almost like real life superheroes. There is a mythology, morality play that plays out every year when you see how these different players and teams are either coming together or they're not. Coaches are demonstrating leadership or they're imploding. There is a level of humanity that plays out publicly in surprising ways before our eyes. And as you get a little bit older, you start to see the connections. Those who forget history are doomed to repeat it. Maybe we would get a little more informed, maybe even want to repeat some things. But I think there's a little bit of perspective that I'm using my hands for those of you who can't listen. But any thoughts, Tarlin?
So I use my hands often, but you were rounding your hands.
I was.
I didn't know if you're like.
It was like a basketball. It was like a
basketball, but then I was picturing like a pottery wheel.
Or maybe it's the world. Maybe it's a globe.
Oh, it's the world.
Yeah.
So I think perspective is everything, and it should push us beyond our comfort zone. And we wanted to look at Maradona and Pele
Yeah.
And how do you compare those to the Messis and Ronaldos of the world?
Mm-hmm.
We wanted to, and he's still relevant, but the Tiger Show, which we teased, and just because he played awful in the last 3 rounds of the Masters, I mean, he's got another 2-part documentary coming out on HBO. That is interesting.
Mm-hmm.
Actually, I want to cover Jay Williams and his fateful decision to get on a motorcycle, which ultimately ended his playing career.
Yeah.
Could have gone down as one of the more dominant Dukies ever to play.
Mm-hmm.
So there are people out there, whether across sports, that it's not only the mark they leave on the field, but I think there are marks they're leaving beyond.
You mentioned the Magic show. That might have been my favorite show, topic wise. That one felt like it really kind of hit its mark. And I did think when we talked about, you mentioned Mahmoud Abdul Rauf, I thought in those early days when we were extending the concept from what we liked about The Last Dance into uncovering those slightly forgotten stories where as you get older, we're in a 90s retro window right now where I think a lot of people are trying to remember what it was like back then. Those of us who might remember better, I think can provide a service by providing some perspective about it. And as much as the cliche goes, it was a much simpler time. And I think there's a lot to learn from that. But what was crazy about it was similar to what is still crazy today. Looking at The Last Dance or thinking about even Iverson's era, it all presaged the rise of social media in a pretty clear way for me. What Jordan was going through in the 90s, and then what you saw Iverson powering through, even that press conference in some ways, is reflective of what social media eventually would become. Practice in some ways is an omen for what's dangerous about social media and how celebrity culture is off the rails. But any perspective on that?
Yeah, these guys still would have been dominant, but they would have been dealing with a whole nother animal in their playing days. There was a quote someone mentioned, and you sent this to me, that Al Iverson spent $40,000 at strip clubs, and he's $40,000 in there from $40,000. I may have spent $7,000 to $9,000 at TJF, and probably a little bit more if I brought the strippers to the TJF, but never $40,000. Now, Dwayne Haskins doesn't have a job because he was partying in COVID era and spent some good money making sure the women partying with him had his jersey on. But what is happening and guys getting exposed, Lou Williams getting some chicken wings in Atlanta, that it would have been those guys who were coming up and just having to deal with the presser and maybe some light noise in the media would have been a different animal. So what these athletes are dealing with today, especially because they're putting themselves out there in social media, and it's just there's no privacy and there's no way to contain or to creep a bubble wrap around your image. So it's fascinating because it's almost like what we've been talking about is you just can't talk about the person on the playing field and what they did on the court because it's bigger than that. And the athlete today, we actually have seen some that are doing things for social good, Jaylen Brown, others who are actually out in the community, but it often gets overlooked because of, as you said, celebrity is bigger than life. You can be on any social platform, and that's what people are gravitating towards.
Imagine what Dennis Rodman would have done with the COVID protocols. Like if you think chicken wings is a problem.
Live stream from Vegas when he decided to needed a vacation mid-season, it would have been his first reality show. That would have been the first reality show.
Oh my goodness. So much to chew on. But yeah, it's been a lot of fun. We're going to keep doing it. We've enjoyed it. We'd love to get more feedback. If you like what you're hearing, tell your friends, share it on social media. We're going to be getting more of the word out there. We'll keep running it back. We're always looking for new show ideas. We're going to want to really open up and build a conversation with our audience. And Tarlin, thanks for a fun run so far. It over-delivered on my expectations in 20, and let's see if we can get it to the next level in 2021.
Thank you. You are the engine behind running it back. Your focus on editing and not editing and just releasing things, it's amazing. The titling is awesome, and I appreciate the time. So I always look forward to meeting up with my buddy 3,000 miles away to talk shop. So let's go stronger in 21. We're out of 2020.
Strong to the hole. Peace.